After the mission was complete, I refused to leave this world and chose to marry Sam. 3 years later, I became pregnant, and he bought an island for me. Everyone sighed with admiration, saying that Sam doted on his wife as if his life depended on it. Only I knew that he had already proposed to his first love on that island. Later, in order to save her, he left me behind in a raging fire. He even refused to divorce me only because he was afraid she would be cursed as a mistress. Julia is back. Everyone else has to step aside. Only then did I realize that I had been a substitute for 3 years. Completely disappointed, I awakened the dormant system. I want to go back. Understood. In 3 days, host will be able to leave this world. Chapter 1. Sam was ruthless and vicious, known in the business world as a living king of hell. Yet toward me, he was unbelievably gentle. He would drive more than 10 hours to the neighboring city just to buy my favorite matcha chingtuan. To ease my lower back pain, he spent 2 years learning massage techniques, and massaged me on time every day. Even if I coughed once, he would worry so much that he couldn't continue a meeting, and only felt at ease after personally taking me to see a doctor. I had a body that made it difficult to conceive, so he said he didn't like children, but I knew that he had imagined having a daughter countless times. Not only had he secretly bought many hair clips, he had also decorated the nursery in pink. He cherished me in the palm of his hand. How could I bear to let his wish fall through? So even though I was afraid of pain, I gritted my teeth and endured more than 100 injections before finally becoming pregnant. At this moment, after learning that I was pregnant, Sam cried like a child. He held me. That island you've always wanted. I bought it and gave it to you. When the baby is born, let's hold a make-up wedding there, okay? Seeing that I showed no excitement at all, he noticed something was wrong. Why aren't you happy? Yesterday, my best friend sent me a screenshot from Moments and questioned me about why I hadn't invited her to my makeup wedding. In the photo, Sam was down on one knee, putting a wedding ring on the woman in front of him. The wind was strong, and her long hair covered her face. At first glance, she looked like me. Back then, there had been a young model who, in order to become famous, photoshopped wedding photos with Sam and became an overnight sensation. After that, incidents of people writing his popularity kept appearing one after another. Although Sam's family was powerful, there were always people willing to take risks for traffic. I had long since grown used to it, so when I saw the photo, I didn't take it seriously. Besides, Sam loved me so much. How could he possibly fool around with another woman? I deliberately put on a stern face and teased him. Have you ever taken another woman to that island? That is our island. His voice was cold. If I brought another woman there, I'd think it was dirty. He had never lied to me. If he said no, then it meant no. Chapter 2. The next day, Sam arranged a gathering with his friends. Because the pregnancy was not yet stable, we temporarily kept it a secret. Halfway through, he accompanied me to the restroom. When we passed by the back kitchen, the head chef was scolding someone. What kind of spoiled young lady are you? You can't even cut an onion properly. Useless! The girl silently held back her tears and hid her cut finger behind her back. Seeing this, the friends with us began speaking up for her. When has Julia ever suffered this kind of grievance? Sigh. In order to repay her family's debts, she really has it too hard. Sam, why don't you? Sam's gaze was dark and sinister. What does that have to do with me? After saying that, he supported me, his voice especially gentle. Be careful. But he didn't notice that the strength he unconsciously added made my wrist ache from his grip. After we returned to the private room, he remained absent-minded the entire time, and the cigarette between his fingers burned several holes in the tablecloth. For some reason, I suddenly thought of that proposal photo, and an inexplicable panic rose in my heart. Who was that girl just now? A friend I'm not very familiar with. Then was it necessary for him to feel so distressed? Before I could ask again, a fire suddenly broke out in the restaurant. Sam carefully protected me and quickly walked out of the private room. However, the moment he heard that the fire had started from the back kitchen, he immediately shook me off. I grabbed him. Cough. Cough. Don't go. It's dangerous. Let go. What about me? He shoved me away hard. Find a way yourself. After saying that, He abandoned me in the thick smoke and ran toward the back kitchen without looking back. The firefighters rescued me and urged me to get into the ambulance first. But I was afraid something had happened to Sam. So I didn't even bother treating my wounds. I stood outside the entrance, anxiously looking around. After a long while, he rushed out of the fire carrying the girl in his arms. I went forward to check his injuries, but he roughly pushed me away. "Don't block the way." His face was full of worry as he carried the girl into the ambulance. Watching the ambulance doors slowly close, I was in disbelief, lost and helpless. Who would abandon his pregnant wife, covered in blood, for a friend he was not very familiar with? Chapter 3. That night, Sam stayed at the hospital, and photos of him holding the girl shot up the trending searches. Reporters swarmed over and blocked the entrance to the hospital room. Sam rushed into the sea of fire to save his first love. Regardless of the danger. "We heard your wife was injured too. She's in the ward downstairs. You're not staying with her, but you're here instead. Does that mean Miss Julia is more important?" Back then, the two of them had loved each other passionately, and everyone in the capital knew about it. Later, Julia went abroad in a fit of anger, and he erased everything, forbidding anyone from mentioning her again. Now, seeing the trending search, I finally knew. The person Sam had abandoned me for and risked his life to save was none other than his former first love. Yet facing the reporters, he merely responded lightly, "We're just friends." After that, afraid they would disturb Julia's rest, he had his bodyguards drive everyone away, unable to wait him out. The reporters came downstairs to block me in my ward instead. I called Sam, but dozens of calls went unanswered. In the chaos, I was shoved by the crowd, and my lower back slammed hard against the door, enduring the abdominal pain. I called Sam again. The call connected, but Julia's sobbing voice came through. "Sam, please don't leave." "Okay, I'm really scared." The next second, he hung up directly. In the end, it was the hospital security guards who drove the reporters away. I was pushed into the operating room and lay there for a full 10 hours before the baby was finally saved. But from beginning to end, Sam never came even once. Yesterday, when he found out I was pregnant, he had been so excited that he cried his eyes out. Yet today, he didn't ask about me at all. How could a person's heart change overnight? I didn't understand, and I couldn't accept it. So I pulled out the 4-tube and stumbled upstairs, wanting to find Sam and ask him clearly. As soon as I reached the outside of the ward, I saw him holding Julia in his arms. "Are you trying to make my heart ache to death? Then why did you give our proposal island to Amanda?" I froze. So the woman in the proposal photo really had been her. "Just because of that, you deliberately went to work there to anger me?" "Yes, you clearly knew, but you didn't come to coax me, so I could only set a fire in the back kitchen." Julia sounded unbearably wronged. "I only left for 3 years, and now your eyes are full of Amanda. You don't love me at all." He coaxed her gently. "Nonsense. I only love you. What about Amanda?" "Her?" He kissed her forehead. "She's only your substitute." Hearing that, my mind went blank in an instant. By the time I came back to myself, my face was already covered in tears. All these years, had his kindness to me only been because he treated me as a substitute? "But you just told the reporters that we were only friends." "Silly girl. I was protecting you." I couldn't help giving a bitter smile. All my strength drained away, and I collapsed to the floor. So when he said last night that bringing another woman to the island would feel dirty, it hadn't been because of his deep love for me. It was because he was afraid that if the matter blew up, she would be cursed as a mistress. Chapter 4. The next day, when Julia was discharged from the hospital, Sam protected Julia in his arms, not letting the reporters photograph her. As the trending topic kept fermenting, he only posted a photo of wedding rings in response. Caption: "The love of my life." Everyone in the capital knew that Sam doted on his wife as if his life depended on it. Now that he had posted the wedding rings he shared with me, the rumors instantly collapsed on their own. Only I noticed that the initials YZ stamped inside the ring were in a different font from the one on the ring I wore. He had specially bought the same style of ring to propose to her, probably to make up for the regret of having married a substitute. After that, he said the company was very busy and didn't come home for an entire week. In the past, he would answer my calls in seconds. Now, whenever I called, The line was always busy. It wasn't until the 99th call that he finally answered. But he sounded impatient. I'm very busy. Busy keeping your first love company? Seeing that he stayed silent for a long time, I questioned him. Why aren't you answering? He said coldly, since you already know, what else is there to say? In the past, no matter when, he would always coax me gently, treating me like a child. But now, his voice was as if it had been dipped in ice, as though I were nothing more than a stranger. I wasn't used to it. My heart suddenly ached, pathetically so. Taking a deep breath, I said calmly, Sam, let's get divorced. Fine, he agreed readily, but not now. Otherwise, what would people think of Julia? Then have you ever, even for a single moment, truly loved me? He scoffed coldly. You're nothing more than a substitute. Don't tell me you thought sleeping together for 3 years could produce real feelings? Or do you think that because you're pregnant with my child, you can use it as leverage to threaten me? I trembled all over from anger. You what? You've already occupied me for 3 years. What more do you want? His time was precious, while mine deserved to be wasted. How could a person be this hypocritical? Besides, he mocked, apart from staying by my side, where else can you go? My heart went completely cold, and I murmured, I was originally prepared to go back. It was his love, burning and lingering, that had made me stop. But now, the person I had once loved down to my bones had already become completely unrecognizable. Amanda, I can continue being husband and wife with you for another 6 months. When we divorce, I'll give you 10 million, but the child must stay. That is my bloodline. Don't even think about using divorce to play hard to get. And don't try to hurt Julia, otherwise, I won't let you off. After saying that, he hung up directly. He thought giving me another 6 months was a tremendous favor. Little did he know, I had already awakened the system that had been dormant for 3 years. I want to go back. After a long while, the long-lost mechanical voice sounded. Search complete. Host may leave this world, and take any one item with her. If I was leaving, I would leave completely. The child was mine. Why should I leave it to him? Chapter 5. The next day, during my prenatal checkup, I ran into Julia. She walked up to me, deliberately called Sam, and turned on speakerphone. Hubby, I miss you so much. Me too. Just thinking about last night gets me reacting. His voice carried a smile, ambiguous and teasing. Tell me, where did you learn those positions? HM? Julia looked at me provocatively. So annoying. I've only ever had you. Who else could I have learned them from? Little temptress. I want to take you hard right now, until you cry and beg for mercy. Do you get this turned on by Amanda too? Every time we do it, I imagine she's you. Otherwise, I can't do it at all. Oh, Julia waved the phone at me. You heard that, right? No matter how real a knockoff looks, it can never replace the original. You've occupied him for 3 years. Isn't it time to give him back to me? My heart remained completely undisturbed. He's the one refusing to divorce. It's useless for you to come to me. How is that possible? She didn't believe it. You must be the one clinging to Sam and refusing to let go. I was too lazy to bother with her and turned to leave, but she shouted loudly, attracting passers-by to watch. Everyone, come look! This shameless slut ruined someone else's relationship. Do you think that just because you're pregnant with his child, he'll want you? The person he loves is me. Stop dreaming. Shameless. The passers-by didn't know the truth and thought I was the mistress. Pointing and whispering, I stopped, turned around, and looked coldly at Julia. Who are you calling shameless? Without that bastard child, let's see what you use to threaten Sam. After saying that, she swung her handbag hard toward my stomach. I protected my stomach with my hands, but a slap knocked my face to the side, and my ears rang. Still not satisfied, she raised her hand to hit me again. I grabbed her wrist and slapped her back hard. Unexpectedly, in the next second, Sam strode over and, full of distress, pulled her into his arms. Amanda, I told you, you're not allowed to hurt Julia. Just after saying that, he noticed the palm print on my face. Your face. Before I could speak, Julia cried and explained. It's not Amanda's fault. I said something she didn't like hearing. I shouldn't have dodged when she hit me that way. My bag wouldn't have hit her face. How could a bag leave a palm print on someone's face? But not only did Sam believe her, he even leaned close to her ear and comforted her gently. Don't stupidly stand there and take a beating next time. Are you trying to make my heart ache to death? I really couldn't bear to watch this melodramatic nonsense anymore, so I secretly asked the system, how much longer until I can go back? 3 days. Chapter 6. During these 3 days, I secretly investigated and discovered that there were problems with Sam's company. Malicious competition, tax evasion, wage withholding, any one of them would be enough to make him collapse. At this time, my calendar reminded me that the anniversary of Sam's grandmother's death was coming soon. Over the years, the old lady had been the only person who truly treated me sincerely. Therefore, before leaving, I wanted to go say goodbye to her. The next morning, not long after I arrived at the cemetery, Sam appeared with Julia. He looked at the tombstone. I brought Julia here because I wanted Grandma to meet her future granddaughter-in-law. Julia's eyes were smug, and she noticed the jade pendant I was wearing. Sam, isn't that mine? On the night of our wedding, Sam had personally put this jade pendant on me. He said it had been blessed, and that he had crawled on his knees up 999 steps to obtain it, all because he was afraid I would suddenly disappear. To reassure him, I wore the jade pendant every day and never even took it off when showering. At this moment, Julia reached her hand toward me. Give the jade pendant back to me. I looked over. Sam remained silent, confirming her words. So, the person he had been afraid would disappear had never been me. It was her. I gave a bitter smile inwardly, feeling that all of it had been unfair to me. Seeing that I was about to tear off the jade pendant, Sam frowned slightly, and a trace of panic actually flashed through his eyes. He held Julia's hand. Forget it. She's worn it before. We don't want it. But in order to get this jade pendant for me, you scraped your knees raw in the middle of winter. It's fine, for you. I'm willing to ask for another one. She was moved to tears. How could I bear to let you do that? I turned to leave, but Sam called out to stop me. From now on, leave matters like paying respects to Julia. Don't come here again. I laughed lightly. Don't worry, this is the last time. Because tonight, I would be leaving. Chapter 7. Sam stared at my back until it disappeared, yet still did not withdraw his gaze. Julia grew jealous. Sam, are you reluctant to part with Amanda? How could that be? He held her tighter. The person I love most is you. More than saying it to her, it sounded like he was saying it to himself. That evening, I sat on the sofa in the villa's living room. The system's voice sounded right on time. The world exit procedure has been activated. Host, please prepare yourself. I said softly. Wait. If you regret your decision, press the cancel button to terminate the procedure immediately. The moment I learned the truth, I had already prepared to leave. It was just that Sam had deceived me so thoroughly. Leaving just like that would be letting him off too easily. I uploaded all the evidence to Weibo and set it to publish on a timer. The day Sam's company went public would definitely be very lively. Unfortunately, I would not be able to see it with my own eyes. Placing the jade pendant on the table, I gently stroked my lower abdomen and whispered, "Baby, Mommy is taking you home. Back to our real home." Procedure starting. 3, 2, 1. A white light appeared before my eyes. When I opened them again, I had already returned to my original world. I opened my phone, and the date displayed was September 1st, 2025. 5 years in the transmigration world was equivalent to 1 year here. At the same time, a text message popped up, showing that the 1 billion mission completion reward had been deposited. The embryo inside the host does not belong to this world. It has been purified during the world exit process. The genes related to Sam have been removed. Now everything about the embryo comes entirely from the host. I took a deep breath, finally feeling as if I had come back to life. At the same time, Sam walked into the living room and immediately saw the jade pendant on the table. Chapter 8. Amanda, what are you making a scene about now? He played with the jade pendant and couldn't help sneering. I only said a few words to you at the cemetery, and now you're throwing a tantrum at me? Don't you think using this kind of method to get my attention is childish? Come out quickly while I'm not angry yet, or bear the consequences yourself. In the past, the moment he entered the door, I would go up to greet him, but now, after his words fell, a long time passed with no response. He searched the entire villa and failed to find me. So he took out his phone. The number you have dialed is no longer in service. He found my WeChat and questioned me impatiently. What exactly do you mean by this? However, the message went out with a red exclamation mark. He smashed the phone hard onto the floor. He was clearly furious. Yet for some reason, panic rose in his heart. In the past, no matter how angry I was, I would never block him, let alone cancel my phone number, especially that jade pendant. I never even took it off when showering, yet now it had been casually thrown onto the table. After thinking for a moment, he picked up his phone and found the alternate WeChat account I had once used. It had not been used in many years. I had long since forgotten about that account. So naturally, I had not blocked him there. When he discovered that the messages could be sent, he instantly let out a breath of relief and decided that I was deliberately throwing a tantrum. Amanda, where are you? Even if you don't think about yourself, you should think about the child, right? I already said I'll give you 10 million when we divorce. What exactly are you being so willful about? Or do you think the money is too little? I can add more. Name your price. Yuri's still young. You can marry someone else. There's no need to cling to me. If you're afraid others will look down on you, I'll add to your dowry. As long as you stop pestering me, that's enough. A long time passed, and there was still no response. But the panic from earlier disappeared. He was certain that as long as I had not deleted him, I still loved him. If you still don't reply by tomorrow morning, I'll let Julia move in. He thought that if he scared me like this, I would definitely cry and beg for his forgiveness. However, until the next evening, I still had not responded. He finally lost control. Out of spite, he simply brought Julia into the villa. Amanda, it's too late to regret it now. I have to say, you're quite self-aware. The person I wanted to marry was never you in the first place. It's only right for you to return that position to Julia. Heh, without me, you can only wander the streets. A second-hand woman like you, no one will want you even if I add a dowry. Unfortunately, he did not know. At that very moment, I was lying inside the VIP private room of a top-tier club. 10 handsome male models were competing to feed me grapes. Chapter 9. Sam began living together with Julia. At first, the two were as sweet as honey. Even when his favorite antique was broken, he couldn't bear to lose his temper at her. But after only 2 months, he began to be unable to stand it. He had a cleanliness obsession and disliked having outsiders in the house. In the past, I had done all the housework, but ever since she moved in, the house had turned into a pigsty. Her clothes were thrown everywhere, and the bowls and chopsticks in the sink were left there until they grew mold. Yet she didn't care. Sam endured it and said patiently, Julia, at the very least, put away your own things. I've only moved in for a few days, and you're already starting to dislike me. Tell me, is it because you don't love me anymore? If I didn't love you, why would I have driven Amanda away? As he spoke, he pulled her into his arms, but when he saw the dress thrown messily on the sofa, his gaze turned a little colder. All along, Julia had been like a goddess in his heart. Now that he saw what she was really like in private, there was a feeling of his fantasy shattering, but he still secretly reminded himself, the person I've always loved is you. Sam also had a sleep disorder. In the past, after 10 o'clock, I would try my best not to make any sound, but she called friends over for parties almost every night, and even at 3 in the morning, the music was still shaking the heavens. Sam had dark circles under his eyes. How am I supposed to sleep with all this noise? You know I like lively places. It's just a party, and you're already being so fierce to me. Julia had been spoiled since childhood, with people dressing her and feeding her, and she was used to someone cleaning up her messes. So naturally she didn't worry about anything. Besides, those who were favored always had nothing to fear. If he could abandon his legal wife for her, then what did it matter if she was willful? Even if she threw tantrums and rolled on the ground, he would still spoil her all the same. Seeing her cry, Sam hurriedly coaxed her gently. Don't cry. Seeing you like this makes my heart ache. But the way he looked at her turned a little colder again. Half a month later. It was the anniversary of Grandma's death. In the past, I had always prepared the offerings. He didn't need to worry about anything. He only had to show up. This time, he handed everything over to Julia. She vowed confidently, "Just leave it to me." However, on the day of the death anniversary, she didn't come. Suppressing his anger, he called her. "Where are you?" "Oh, I drank with friends last night. I just woke up." "Do you know what day it is today?" "What day?" "Oh right, it's your grandmother's death anniversary. This is how you prepared for it." "I forgot." He sneered. "Forgot? Oh, come on, she's already dead. What difference does it make which day we burn paper offerings?" As soon as she finished speaking, the call was hung up, and she instantly became wide awake. In the past, even during meetings, he had never hung up on her. After thinking for a long time, she blamed all the fault on me. I must find a way to teach that bitch a lesson. Chapter 10. That evening, as soon as Sam entered the house, he discovered that the courtyard was on fire. When he walked closer, he realized that Julia was burning things. She believed that Sam had scolded her because those objects made him think of me. So she searched through the entire villa, wanting to burn everything that belonged to me. He took off his jacket to put out the fire. "Are you insane?" After the fire was extinguished, he saw Polaroids scattered all over the ground, burned until they were incomplete. When we had been deeply in love, I had secretly taken many photos of him, but I had never told him. He picked up the photos and discovered that there was a sentence written on the back of each one. A side profile photo of him asleep. "My husband is so handsome even when he's sleeping." A photo of him working with full concentration. "My serious husband is the most charming." A photo of his back under fireworks. "I want to watch fireworks with my husband every year from now on." Everyone said that Sam doted on his wife as if his life depended on it. But no one knew that what I had done for him was far more than what he had done for me. When he drove out to buy matcha chingtuan for me, I was at home making soup for him to ensure the ingredients were fresh. I went to the market at 4 in the morning and waited there just to buy seafood that had just been brought ashore. During the 2 years he spent learning massage techniques for me, I taught myself law and passed the judicial exam for matters that even the company's legal department couldn't handle. I went 3 days and 3 nights without eating or drinking, and finally resolved them perfectly. Before he personally took me to see a doctor, I had already made a physical examination plan for him. Even the vitamins he needed to take every day were prepared in advance by me. Feelings were mutual by nature. If someone treated me 5 parts well, I returned 10. Unfortunately, he was not worthy of me doing so much. At this moment, seeing him staring at the photos in a daze, Julia pounced over and tried to snatch them. He slapped her to the ground, then stuffed the photos into the inner pocket at his chest. "You actually hit me?" She was shocked. "Is this how you love me?" He said coldly. "Do you think gaining my love is an easy thing?" All along, she had been extremely confident, certain that no matter how much she acted up, Sam would still love her. But his dark and sinister gaze was reminding her that once she lost his love, she would lose everything. She absolutely did not want to go back to the past. Back to the life after bankruptcy, when she was despised wherever she went. For the first time, she softened her voice and coaxed him. "Sam, I'll behave. Don't abandon me." In the past, her arrogance and willfulness had only stirred his desire to conquer. But now, seeing her kneeling on the ground like a dog, crying and begging, he suddenly found it dull and tasteless. So his first love was only this much after all. He did not coax her, nor did he even reach out to help her up. Instead, he directly left her in the courtyard. Looking at his cold and indifferent back, Julia felt a sense of crisis for the first time. She couldn't wait half a year. She wanted to marry Sam immediately so she could feel at ease. As she thought about it, a wave of nausea suddenly hit her. The next day, she went to the hospital for a checkup and learned that she was pregnant. Isn't the reason Sam cares so much about Amanda because she's carrying his child? Julia proudly stroked her lower abdomen. "Now I'm pregnant too. If Sam finds out, he'll definitely divorce her immediately. At this point, what can she possibly use to compete with me?" But she didn't know that I had never thought of competing with her. fighting until we were both battered and bleeding, all just to gain a scumbag's love? Was that supposed to be a reward? Or a punishment? Yet she was very pleased with herself. 3 days later. It will be the day Sam's company goes public. When he rings the bell, I'll put the pregnancy test report on the big screen. He'll definitely be especially happy when he sees it. Chapter 11. Unable to find me. Sam always felt uneasy, so he sent people to search through the entire capital. Although they didn't find me, they discovered my Weibo. Sam. Madam set up a scheduled post. Sam frowned. What content? The technical department is working on cracking it. There should be results in 3 days at most. After the assistant left, he took out the stack of burned photos from his chest pocket. He examined them against the sunset, imagining the loving gaze I must have had when taking those photos. He took out his phone and sent me a WeChat message, his tone softening. Amanda, where exactly are you? If there's anything, we can talk face to face. If you don't want to divorce, at worst, I'll settle Julia somewhere else. I promise she won't come bother you. But 3 days passed, and he still received no reply. Yet unlike before, he did not get angry. He even began coaxing me, as if we had gone back to the past. Amanda, I want to drink your fish soup. I've lost weight these past few days without you around. The company has run into some trouble. That bunch of useless idiots in the legal department are completely worthless. Amanda, help me, okay? In the past, whenever he showed weakness like this, no matter how angry I was, my heart would soften. But now, even though he had lowered himself this much, I still did not reply. He became more and more panicked, afraid that I might truly leave him. I sent it time for my physical checkup. Amanda, without you here, I can't even remember to take my vitamins. If I get sick because of this, you'll still be the one who feels bad in the end. Stop being angry, okay? As long as you come back, your husband will agree to anything. Let's just pretend nothing ever happened. We'll raise the baby together. Late that night, he finally broke down and sent a message with reddened eyes. Amanda, I really need you. But I no longer needed him. Chapter 12. The next evening, outside the stock exchange, there was a sea of people. As soon as Sam got out of the car, the camera flashes kept clicking non-stop. His family was powerful, and every time one of their companies went public, the attention was extraordinary. At that moment, reporters were holding all kinds of cameras and broadcasting live worldwide. Before going on stage to ring the bell, the assistant leaned close to Sam's ear. Madam's Weibo is encrypted. The technical department can't crack it. One had to know that the Shin Group's technical department was among the best in the world. He couldn't help feeling puzzled. She did it herself? During our 3 years of marriage, I couldn't even read the electric meter. How could I possibly understand code? At present, all we know is that Madam's scheduled post is set for 8 o'clock tonight. Sam glanced at his watch. There was still 1 hour. If they really couldn't crack it, then so be it. It wouldn't be too late to check after he rang the bell. It was just that he was truly curious about what I had scheduled. The assistant reminded him, "Today is your wedding anniversary with Madam." Hearing that, a smile appeared in Sam's eyes. If you hadn't said it, I would have forgotten. Then she must be planning to confess her love to me on Weibo. At that moment, it was time to ring the bell. Surrounded by the crowd, Sam walked onto the high platform. The bell was rung, and everyone cheered excitedly. Suddenly, the big screen went black. When it lit up again, the company promotional video had been replaced by a pregnancy test report. The audience present thought this was something Sam had arranged on purpose. This really is double happiness. Sam is so devoted. If only I could meet someone like that too. Wait, that doesn't seem right. Why do I remember Sam's wife being another woman? What was her name again? Right. Amanda. But why is the name on the pregnancy test report Julia? Isn't she Sam's first love? Before, Sam even abandoned his own wife in a fire to save her. At that time, he clarified that the two of them were only friends. But who would send a pregnancy test report to an opposite-sex friend? Unless the child she's carrying is his. Oh my God, doesn't that mean Sam cheated during marriage? But wasn't he supposed to love his wife deeply? Sam's pupils trembled. Then he turned and saw Julia below the stage. She was excitedly waving at him, still holding that pregnancy test report in her hand. He had gone to great lengths to protect her. Yet, unexpectedly, she had exposed herself during a global live broadcast. He had seen stupid people before, but never anyone as stupid as her. Using this kind of method to force him to give her status would only make him disgusted. At that moment, the way he looked at her turned utterly ice cold. He immediately instructed his assistant, "Right now, immediately, take that image down." Seeing the photo deleted, Julia was in disbelief. According to the plan, Sam should now bring her onto the stage and announce their relationship to the whole world. Just as she was disappointed, the big screen lit up again. She thought Sam had changed his mind. However, when she looked up, she saw that it was a Weibo post that had just been published. The person who posted it was actually Amanda. Chapter 13. Malicious competition by the group. Tax evasion. Wage withholding. Dense piles of evidence automatically scrolled across the screen. Aside from that, there were also photos of Sam proposing to Julia on the island. There were also comparison images of the engravings inside the wedding rings, proving that the clarification he had posted that day had not used the wedding ring he shared with me, but a ring specially customized for proposing to Julia. I had even pinned down the timeline of his affair to the exact hour. Sam shouted, "Hurry up and turn it off. Are you all dead?" "Yes, the technical department is all ready." The surrounding crowd stared in stunned silence. So, Sam has been selling the loving husband image this whole time? More than that, he even treated his legal wife as a substitute for his first love. The worst part is, as soon as his first love came back, he wanted to kick out his legal wife. So that pregnancy test report just now was real? Sam's face turned ashen. Is it still not done? Sam, we can't shut it down. The technical department has never seen this kind of virus before. A bunch of useless trash. At that moment, the image on the big screen changed, and the scene became the hospital. It was the day of my prenatal checkup, when Julia cursed me out in the hospital and even slapped me. Sam appeared in time, yet he held the person who had hit me in his arms and comforted her. Seeing this, everyone was furious. Wait, can a handbag leave a palm print? Not even an idiot could say something that brainless. Helping the mistress bully the legal wife? This kind of man is disgusting. Julia knew that the hospital had surveillance cameras, but she was confident that even if something happened, Sam would cover for her. Even at that moment, she still firmly believed that with his unconditional favoritism toward her, she had already won. After all, being a mistress wasn't illegal as long as she could marry into a wealthy family. What did it matter if people cursed her a little? So even though people around her recognized her, she did not feel the slightest shame. She was even smug about having pushed out the legal wife. But she did not know that I had prepared another surprise for her. Chapter 14. After the video ended, the next scene was still in the hospital. Only this time, it was inside a ward. Sam tightly held Julia, talking about how dangerous it had been in the restaurant just now. "Yes, you clearly knew, but you didn't come to coax me, so I could only set a fire in the back kitchen." At that time, after learning that I was a substitute, I had been so shocked that all my strength left me. But even so, I did not forget to use my phone to preserve evidence. That day, through the glass, I recorded all of their conversation. The fire had caused 2 restaurant employees to die. Yet she felt no guilt at all. She even believed that the aging electrical wiring had concealed her crime and that this was heaven's favor. At this moment, my Weibo had already rushed onto the trending searches. How can there be someone this vicious? If you want to act up, can you not drag other people into it? I saw the news back then. 2 employees were burned alive. How much pain must that have been? If she hadn't admitted it herself, the truth definitely would have been buried. The most terrifying thing when you think about it carefully is Sam's reaction after hearing it. Exactly. After finding out she set the fire, he didn't take it seriously at all, as if he had long been used to it. I suggest the relevant authorities investigate properly. I suspect the group has blood on its hands. Julia never dreamed that the arson would be exposed. What did those 2 dead people have to do with her? If anyone had to be blamed, blame them for having bad luck. She pushed through the crowd, wanting to reach Sam and seek his protection. However, at that moment, the police rushed into the scene and arrested Sam on the spot. At the same time I published the Weibo post, I had also scheduled a copy of the evidence to be sent to the Public Security Bureau. If morality could not punish them, then the law could, right? Chapter 15. Sam's group was thoroughly investigated. The business empire that had stood for 100 years collapsed in an instant. Sam was punished for multiple crimes, and he would spend the rest of his life in prison. As for Julia, she was sentenced to 20 years for intentionally setting a fire that caused deaths. Not long after, she gave birth to a baby girl, who was sent to a welfare institution. After Julia was released from prison, she asked around everywhere and finally learned where the child was. However, on the way there, her daughter jumped from a tall building and fell to her death right in front of her. Because she was the child of a mistress, her daughter had been bullied since childhood. Forced to drop out of school, she had to work 5 jobs every day to support herself. When she was 15, her adoptive parents took 5,000 yuan and married her off to a 60-year-old bachelor. Every day, she was insulted and abused, tortured until she no longer looked human. Finally, she lost the will to live and chose to jump off a building. Julia held her daughter's body and cried as if her heart had been torn apart. I wonder if she ever thought that the cause she had planted 20 years ago would eventually bear this kind of fruit. Meanwhile, at the same time, I was celebrating my 4-year-old daughter's birthday with her. The villa living room was filled with pink balloons. At the top of the 4-tier birthday cake stood her favorite princess doll. The room was filled with laughter and joy, and everyone was smiling as they gave her their blessings. She wore a pink puffy dress, her 2 chubby little hands tightly wrapped around my neck. "Mommy, I'll love you forever." I held her in my arms. "Mommy will love you forever too." Extra. When Sam was 75, he died in prison. By then, 50 years had passed since he began serving his sentence. After his soul left his body, the first person he saw called itself the system. "I'll take you to see someone." His voice was aged. "Who?" "Someone you've dreamed of seeing." The system took Sam's soul to my world. At that moment, my daughter was holding my hand, excitedly telling me that she had won first place in a math competition. Sam narrowed his cloudy eyes. "That is Amanda. She hasn't aged at all. Time flows differently in the 2 worlds. 50 years in your world is equivalent to 10 years here." He suddenly understood. No wonder after we parted at the cemetery that day, he couldn't find me no matter what he did. She was originally a top-level hacker, sent to your world to carry out a mission. After the mission ended, she gave up the 1 billion reward and chose to stay for you. Hearing that, Sam's face was covered in tears. Decades of prison life had long since worn away his pride. Hunched over, he reached out, wanting to touch me, but was blocked by an invisible barrier. His gaze moved to my daughter, and a faint glimmer of hope seemed to ignite in him. "That is our child." If I had taken the child with me even when leaving, that proved I still loved him. The system shook its head coldly. "When she left the world, the genes in the child related to you were already purified. In other words, she has nothing to do with you now. You really don't need to flatter yourself." Sam knelt on the ground, crying as he apologized to me. "Amanda, I know I was wrong. I'm sorry. The reason I brought you here is because it was necessary for you to know how happy she is without you. The goal has been achieved. You may leave now. He cried out loudly. "Please, let me say one word to her." The system snapped its fingers, and that shriveled soul instantly scattered. May every girl live as herself, never trapped by rotten people or rotten things. After saying that, the system fell dormant again. I vaguely sensed something and turned around, only to see the sky filled with sunset glow, dazzling and brilliant.